Hey guys, so today we're going to learn about the distant and midpoint formulas. Today we're just plugging in numbers, we're just using the formula, but later on this week and into next week we're going to actually apply these formulas to solve bigger and more complicated problems. So this lesson is just to introduce you to the formulas, but I promise you it will get a little bit harder. Okay, I know a lot of you are complaining about it not being hard, but it will get there, trust me. But this lesson introduces it, and it's very important that you understand how to use these formulas. Okay, because if you can't use them here, it's going to be really hard for you to use them with more difficult problems. So the first formula is the distance formula. Okay, to find the distance between 2 points, you can use the distance formula. Okay, and it's d equals a big square root sign. Okay, and the way I like to remember the distance formula is I like to create two i's. Okay, I like to put a plus sign in between for the nose. And then I always square both sides. And then in here you're going to have x2 minus x1. Then you're going to have y2 minus y1. Okay. And that is your distance formula. It looks complicated, but all it is just plugging in numbers. Okay, so always remember to draw a face, and you just memorize the distance formula. It's a good formula to memorize, okay, because when you get on the EOG, you're not going to have a cheat sheet. Okay, it's going to have to be in the back of your brain. So go ahead and just start memorizing it. So this is an example that you might see. Okay, it says find a distance between the pair of points. Okay, anytime you're trying to find a distance in between points, you're going to use the distance formula. And the first thing we need to do is we need to find these coordinate pairs. Okay, so this one is 4, 6. And this one is 6, 8. Then after we have the coordinates, we're going to stack the coordinates. Okay, so we're going to take each one. So we're going to take 4, 6, and then 6, 8. Then I'm going to plug into the distance formula and solve, and I always want to write out my formula first before I start plugging in numbers. Okay, so when you do your homework, when you do your tests, I want to see this formula written out. Okay. And so this is 1, this is 2. 1, 2. So I'm going to plug in my numbers. So x2 is 6 minus x1 is 4. Close my parentheses, square it, plus my y2 is 8, minus my y1 is 6. Close parentheses and square it. And I'm going to simplify further. 6 minus 4 is going to give me 2. Plus 8 minus 6 would give me 2. Okay, don't forget these exponents come down. And then d equals 2 squared is 4 plus 4. So d equals the square root of 80. And I'm going to round, not 80, 8. And I'm going to plug this in the calculator and round to the tenths place. And I'll get 2.8. Okay, and that's the distance between the 2 points on that graph. So again, you just have to simplify each part. Okay, keep the square, don't lose it. Okay, and then eventually you get down to your problem, your answer. Okay. So again, it's just plugging in numbers. Okay, let's do another one. time it didn't give us a graph. It just gave us 2 coordinates. So find the distance between 2, -9 and -1, 4. So again, I'm going to stack it. Okay. I'm going to write out my distance formula. And it's going to have a hat, 2 eyes, a nose, square both sides. X2 minus x1, y2 minus y1. And now I'm going to plug in my values. So D equals x2 -1 minus x1 is 2 plus y2 is 4 minus y1 is -9. Okay. Simplify it further. -1 minus 2 is going to give me -3. Plus 4 minus -9. Okay, negative and a negative is going to be a positive, so I'm going to connect this and make it positive. So 4 plus 9 is going to give me 13 squared. Okay, not done yet. -3 squared, since the negative sign is inside the parentheses, -3 times -3 is going to give you a positive 9. Plus 13 squared is 169. Okay, so the square root of 178. Okay, and if it wants me to leave it exact, that's going to be my answer. If it wants me to round, I'm going to round. And if I round it, it's going to be 13.3. And that's going to be my distance. So now I want you to try doing this next one on your own. Okay, and when you get done doing it, hit the play button to see the solution. Okay, welcome back. So let's complete this one. And again, I'm going to write out my distance formula, add my eyeballs, my nose, and now I'm going to stack my y and x values. Okay, x2 is -2 minus x1 is -6 squared. Okay, let's go back up here. What did I forget to add up here? That's very important. My squares. Okay, I forgot to square each side. Okay, my y2 is -10 minus my y1 is -10 squared. Okay. So again, 2 negatives is going to be a positive, so I'm going to change that to a positive. Connect, make it a positive. Again, 2 negatives a positive. Connect, make it a positive. So -2 plus 6 is going to give you a positive 4. Plus -10 plus 10 is going to give you a 0. 4 squared is 16, 0 squared is just 0. 16 plus 0 is 16. Okay, if it wants me to round, that's a perfect square, so that equals 4. And that's going to be my answer. If you got this one wrong, I would go back and look at your negatives, okay, because that's probably where your mistake was at. You have to be really close attention to those negatives. Okay? So the next formula is the midpoint formula. Okay, to find the midpoint of any line, you can use the midpoint formula. But before I give you this formula, I want you to look at that line. Okay? You have a 1 and you have a 2. Now, we are pretty smart people, okay? We can probably say, oh, that's halfway in between, that's 1.5, okay? But sometimes it's not going to be that easy, okay? And we're going to actually have coordinates this time. But if you wanted to find at the midpoint, how would you do that mathematically? Couldn't you add these two, 1 plus 2, and divide by 2? And that's going to give me 3 over 2. Okay. And that equals 1.5. Okay, because we're taking this whole, adding it together, divide by 2, and it gives me this middle point, okay? So what we're going to be doing is more complicated than that, but I just wanted to tell you that because you can use mathematical common sense. And so the midpoint formula is going to be M midpoint equals x2 plus x1 over 2, and then y2 plus y1 over 2. Okay. And this is how you would find the midpoint of a line given two coordinate pairs, okay? This was just one, we're just dealing with the x values, but technically when we have coordinate pairs, we're going to do it for both your x and y value. Okay, and you're going to find that midpoint on the line, that point, that coordinate pair. Okay, but this is what you need to memorize, the midpoint formula. Okay. So now let's use it. So number 1, find the midpoint of the line with the endpoint 6, 1 and negative 2, 5. So the first thing I'm going to do is write out my formula. So I have x2 plus x1 over 2, y2 plus y1 over 2. You don't need this line right there. Okay. I'm going to then stack my points. So I have 6, 1, and negative 2, 5. And I'm going to plug this into my formula. Okay, so x2, negative 2, plus x1 is 6 all over 2. y2 is 5, plus y1 is 1 over 2. Okay. Simplify that. Negative 2 plus 6 is going to give me 4 over 2. 5 plus 1 is 6 over 2. You always want it in simplest terms. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3. And that is my answer. So I want you to try these next two on your own. Go ahead and pause the video and then hit play when you're ready for the solutions. Welcome back. Okay, find the midpoint of a line with the endpoints 9, 12 and 7, 1. Okay, I am going to write out my formula. And I'm going to stack my points. I'm going to plug everything into my formula. x2 is 7, x1 is 9, y2 is 1, y1 is 12 over 2. 7 plus 9 is going to give me what? 16 over 2. 1 plus 12 is 13 over 2. Okay, again, you always need to simplify. Okay, 16 divided by 2 is going to give me 8. 13 divided by 2 is going to give me a decimal, and it will give me 6.5. Okay, and then this is going to be my midpoint. Okay, next one. Find the midpoint of a line with endpoints of -8, 9, -9, and 7 and 7. So m equals, copy my formula out, x2 plus x1 all over 2, y2 plus y1 all over 2. Okay, and then plug in what you know after I create my coordinates. Okay, so x2 is 7 plus x1 is -8 all over 2. y2 is 7 plus right of 1, which is -9 over 2. Simplify. 7 plus -8 is -1 over 2. 7 plus -9 is going to be -2 over 2. Simplify it farther. -1/2 divided by 2 is going to give me -0.5, and then -2 divided by positive 2 is going to give me -1. And then this is my midpoint. Again, if you got it wrong, just look back at your signs and make sure that you did it correctly. Okay, again, this is not all we're going to do with the distance and midpoint formula, but before we can do other things, it's very important that you're able to find the midpoint and find the length of a line using the distance formula. Okay, so again, if you have any questions at all, please contact me, because this will build off of one another, okay, in the later lessons. Hope you all have a good day. Bye.